Okay, we're recording. Everything looks good. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. This is an exciting webinar. We've all been talking behind the scenes about how excited we are to deliver this, and just really looking forward to everything that we're talking about today. So today's webinar is between TARS and Lemlist, and it's the email marketing playbook: 5 tactics to increase ROI on your email marketing campaigns. And joining me, we'll start with introductions on this one. So I'm Levi. I'm an automation specialist, chatbot specialist at TARS, and I've been working with chatbots for over 4 years, and working on all kinds of different things. So a lot of my focus has been in that marketing side of things, getting folks engaged with chatbots all the way through kind of the whole life cycle of a customer, through support and to advocacy. And I'll hand it off to Vuk with Lemlist.
Yeah, excitement is real. Look, hi everybody, welcome to the webinar. My name is Vuk. Like, you have to tell my full name and surname. It's a little bit tricky. But Vuk, I work as a head of growth at Lemlist, and I'm lucky to say that I've been with Lemlist from the very start, and I'm their first employee and the first person to get a salary from the company, which is kind of like a cool title. I've been in startups a lot, and in cold emails, like I've seen everything from positive and negative ROI to good and bad reply rates, and I look forward to getting dirty with the tactics that we're about to show you.
Great. So just to do introductions now from the companies, TARS has been helping marketers boost their conversion rate using conversational tech since 2016. And what that really means is we have a chatbot building platform, and we use it to engage folks in a much more interactive way. So we help you build chatbots to engage your customers and your prospects.
And on the Lemlist side of things, as you know, we're a cold email and sales automation tool that allows you to really personalize and communicate one-on-one through emails, go multi-channel and leverage other channels as well, while syncing your entire team to boost reply rates, get more opportunities, and close more deals.
Great. So just to do a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. First, we're going to discuss the challenges of email marketing. And I would like to just let everybody know that feel free to ask questions whenever you want. If we can address it while in the webinar, we absolutely will. If it's prudent to what we're talking about at that moment and we can fit it in, we certainly will. Otherwise, we have a Q&A block set up at the end. So we're going to answer all the questions that you throw at us, and we're going to take as much time as it takes to do that. So feel free, you have a question, go ahead and add it to the chat or add it to the question and answer panel, either or, and we will be happy to address that. As well, we have Arnav in support. He's going to be talking to you folks, sharing resources as they come up. So feel free, again, anytime, ask questions. Then we're going to jump into tactics. And so we have 5 amazing tactics for you today, very detailed, and we really get into the nitty gritty of how this all works. And then, of course, like I said at the end, that Q&A and our contact details for anybody who wants to reach out. So let's get started and with the challenges with email marketing. This is something that a lot of people have talked about. This isn't a big aha moment for, I'm guessing, a lot of our attendees here, that the problem is prospects are bombarded with emails and messages every day. We all get them. I mean, I can't even say how many emails that I get, and I don't even pay attention to them. I look at the subject line and I pass. Similarly with messages through like LinkedIn and stuff like that, right? So many pitches every day from those messages. So the problem is, people are getting bombarded with them. We all know this. Additionally, we're all people. We have priorities. We have things we're working on. We only pay attention to things that bring us a lot of value. So how do we get somebody to pay attention to us? And then finally, prospects are disengaged. the internet is kind of a disengaging place in a lot of capacity. Where you see engagement, social media, but where you see a lot of less engagement is like on websites, landing pages. They've become very static, very disengaging, very boring. So that's another problem that we're going to address through this webinar. On the flip side of that, how automation can help is we are going to talk about how to understand what matters to the prospect and then use automation in ways to leverage that. Additionally, how to focus on their priorities and build that credibility through those email outreach campaigns. And then, of course, creating an engaging experience. That's where we're going to talk about where conversational tech comes into play on that post-click experience for them. So I'm going to hand it off right away to Vuk. He's going to start with the first 3 tactics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen and he'll take over and we'll get going. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong way. There we go.
No worries, no worries. Let me know when it's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. Okay. So for tactics, I guess number 1 is the let's say the hottest one. I know that this terminology in marketing and sales is not really appreciated, but I believe, like, for most of us, LinkedIn is where it happens. Depending on the industry, it may be a little bit different, but everybody's there. The platform is robust, and I'd like to focus on how you can use this to your advantage. And I always say, like, in marketing especially, but it's a little bit different from sales. So I guess depending on where you belong, the first question people tend to ask is, okay, like the difference between long and long-term stuff and short-term stuff, marathons and sprints. And I guess this LinkedIn funnel is amazing because you can use it for both. And it starts with growing your profile. But not just yours. Like I've seen a lot of companies where the CEO or the CMO or people from a VP level are the most active, but these things are changing. And I guess for me, the opportunities in startups and companies, no matter the size, more people using LinkedIn to this advantage and connecting with other things. So whenever you're creating a profile, you want to have an objective. So if you have a sales team of 10 people, like everyone in that a team can connect to a specific vertical, to a specific audience that belongs, there are multiple audiences that you're targeting. And if you target, if you nail the profiles and its objectives and what kind of things you want to do, this helps you, get more awareness, get more of that top of the funnel stuff going, and will be beneficial to this funnel. Then, of course, you start publishing great content, exposing people to different things, not being too salesy, but be more, in terms of like educational, sharing actionable tips, and kind of positioning yourself in front of that vertical, in front of that audience, whoever they be. And this is the long-term marathons, I'd say. Like, it takes a little bit of time to do this, but on the other hand, if you don't have a strong profile and you don't have a large following, there's plenty of people that do, that are operating in your audience, like industry experts, practitioners who have increased their following, but also your competitors. And you can also use this to find, target audience, find leads, and create your email list at the end of the day. And the things I always like to mention, KPIs, is some of the things so you can keep things in good check and see if you're on the right road. Like, in terms of new connections that you make, in terms of experts that you find, and in terms of engagement traffic that different posts make, these are some of the things that you want to see that will tell you the potential and will guide you to the right audience, to the right post, or to the right type of content. And then once you do all that, you're going to start segmenting. So for example, in the cold email space, if I'm using this tactic, I can see that some people are talking about how to increase reply rates, but while others are talking how to maximize email deliverability. And those two lists are two different segments that I will be pitching in my emails or through LinkedIn. And you want to segment these. You want to qualify it. You want to come up with cool, like divide them through cool topics and value pitches, and essentially organize your lists in a meaningful way. Because a lot of campaigns, a lot of cold email campaigns fail because prospecting and qualification wasn't done right. people like to take shortcuts, and they tend to do this a lot in research. But if you nail the customer insights correctly, it will make your life easier, from writing email to sending, and then booking meetings and everything that comes afterward. And of course, like, the next thing you want to do is cold email and LinkedIn. And if you put this into practice and go into the trenches, the first thing you might ask is, okay, how do I grow my profile? How do I connect with my target audience? And one of the things that you can do is use LinkedIn search. LinkedIn search is so powerful. Even if you use the free version, that's still really good. If you're going with a navigator and you want to go to the pro level, that's also great. It will give you a lot of new filters, more powerful insights and everything. But if you like, obviously it says like showing almost 1.5 million results. You want to narrow it down. You want to make it a little bit into 4 or 5 digit space. But in any case, you can search your target audience. Me, as a head of growth at Lemlist, I can be looking to connect with growth marketing and marketing people and onboard them to Lemlist. So I'll just search, perfect my search, and then I'll just copy paste this and put it into a tool like Phantom Buster, and I can connect with these people automatically. Of course, you can do it manually if you prefer that way. It will take a little bit of more time. But tools like Phantom Buster can facilitate this, as long as you follow the guidelines and don't overdo it and end up being penalized by LinkedIn. So this is one of the things through which you can connect to the right vertical and start making your list through your own profile. But if you don't have such, as I said in the 2 slides ago, you can use LinkedIn search in other ways. Like, you can search for posts and see what kind of people are posting things. Search posts in your industry through different connections, and use all the filters to identify which posts are out there, what kind of people are posting, what's the engagement, and these are all potential leads. These are all potential cold email template ideas that you later can use. And you might stumble upon a guy, Ilya Zovtsev. I mean, Ilya is somebody who works in my team. Shout out for my man from Ukraine. But let's imagine he's not. And I can see that this post is about a connected topic to my tool and something that I can use. And the engagement is great. So from the comments and likes, these are all leads are already there. I just have to go through them and qualify them and put them in the right bucket with the right value pitch. And luckily, Phantom Buster also gives you a great way to do that. So you can then export these people. So you can export all the comments, you can export all the likes automatically. You don't have to do a thing. You focus on things that matter most, and you leave this, I'd say, a little bit boring and time-consuming tasks to robots. And then you can use this to put them in your find emails and add them to your email list, or you can send them a connection request, again, with Phantom Buster. So these things are really powerful in setting that funnel in the right way from the very start. And this is like, I want to show you now the example of a cold email that Nadia, our head of business development, use, and it's part of this funnel that I'm showing you right now. So once you qualified your leads and once you identified what's the best way to pitch every single individual, you can start working on your template. And you can see that this one starts with a subject line that's really personal. So XYZ in this particular case is name of the ebook, which we didn't want to share because it's something personal to one of our users. But in any case, this speaks immediately to the person. It's thanks for it. It builds a little bit of intrigue, and it will give you a good open rate. Our sales team has been using this a lot, and it's really good, but it sets up an expectation that you're not selfish. And this is the reason why you want to make sure that the copy follows that vibe throughout this. And Nadia kind of does this through giving a genuine compliment about that ebook and about what value does it bring. And I can't tell you enough, and you've probably seen this as well. Like, when you get a cold email that's, hey, Vuk, I read your article, it's amazing. And even if you put a title, I read your, great 5 tactics to boost your ROI on cold email campaigns, it's still generic. You want to get really meaningful. You want to show them that you know them, and you want to kind of lower their guard down by being genuine. Like, imagine it as in any other conversation in a coffee place. By being human and by building relationships from the start on something meaningful that you really liked about this piece of content, or it can be a common ground between you and the prospect. It can be anything. As long as it's genuine, it will work. even if it's a negative response, you will at least get a response, and that person might refer you to somebody else. Like this all comes down with being genuine and not generic. And then you can make a transition. In this particular case, it's still about the prospect. It's still about trying to establish that relationship, which then leads to focus on getting a reply rather than giving them a link or trying to do this in a bit pushy, salesy way. So Naja's goal with this email was just to start a conversation. So it's a friendly invitation to a coffee where they will discuss, different things and tactics, depending on who's the particular person that receives this email. But what I want to say is, this is like an actionable tip: focus on one goal. So if your funnel is, obviously you want to increase your revenue, increase your MRR or whatever, but you want to do it one step at a time. Like email, the goal is to get a reply. Your goal, depending on your funnel, can be to book a meeting, to get them redirected to a page, or to sign up for a free trial. Depending on what's the goal, focus on that goal. So Naja starts by getting a reply, booking a meeting, talking about connected things, and then converting this particular audience. And to kind of sweeten things up, there's an image of her that's really friendly with this little first name personalization. So with Lemlist, you can automatically add dynamic text to images, and it changes in a pretty smooth way. So you can see Steven's name on that coffee cup, and this is probably the most famous cold email template that we've created. In any case, it builds credibility that you're a real person. And if you do it in a cool way, it can also showcase a little bit of your personality and help establish that rapport with your prospect so early on, because this is still cold emailing. And these were the results of this particular campaign. And it really works, and it's really cool. And I cannot stress enough like how cool of segments can you create through LinkedIn. And as long as you connect the message and the pitch with that segment, it will work in a great way, because 50% comes down to your research and 50% is in the story you tell in that email. And by doing so, like, you will be doing some other things along the way. This is a cool thing about LinkedIn funnel. So people will you will also probably DM people on LinkedIn, and it's the same logic. It's maybe a little bit different dynamic for DMs on LinkedIn, but it's the same logic. And you will see like changes in your reply rates, but you also see as you go and as you post content and expose as part of this funnel, people will start coming to you. And these are some of the messages that Naja's received. These are some of the messages that I receive. And if you have the entire team, and that's what I'm want to tell you about, if you have the entire team working and paddling in the same direction like this one, this starts to happen a lot, and you start to scale things. But also, as you go, and it will be like a nice symbiosis between those templates and the content that you do. And you will see like you can use that content to position yourself as an expert and make your posts become something as a lead grabber. And then the message will be even, the cold email message will be even easier, because you're going to be, people are already connected to you. They already know you. So when they see your name in the inbox, it just skyrockets your open rate. And this is one of the goals that you also want to achieve as part of this funnel. And obviously, things like content distribution and getting leads from there will also help you do a lot of things along with the networking. So this kind of completes the LinkedIn funnel. And the second tactic is kind of connected. It just operates on a different, there's like a slight difference. And I call this a free kick cold email just because it's it's a time-saving trick, I'd say. So the logic is the same, except for LinkedIn. Now we come into the communities, and for us and a lot of you in B2B space, communities are huge. They're usually on Facebook, they're on Slack, but depending on the industry, communities are everywhere. They can even be on things like Reddit and Quora. It's obviously a different platform, and it has different rules and different challenges, but the framework is the same. The communities are, like a gold mine of people, leads, ideas, their problems, solutions they're seeking for, and those things simplify our research. It's already there. All you got to do is you want to come into a community. You want to identify the key topics that are connected to your business, so your feature becomes a solution to their problem. And you want to join the conversation. You don't want to come and just swing and recommend like, hey, use Lemlist, use Lemlist. You want to start talking about topics and position yourself a little bit as a go-to person, go-to go-to dude or go-to girl who they will come and be like, hey, I see you work in Lemlist. How did you solve this? How did you solve that? Those are all warm leads that will be coming to you as part of this funnel and the LinkedIn funnel as well. And if you become an expert or a practitioner, if you're not at an expert level yet, and a kind human being, you will see the difference. I tell you, like we have our own community, but we also everybody is part of specific communities depending on the vertical and depending on the team they work at. And then the drill is the same. You segment the prospects, organize your lists, qualify them, and assign proper pitches to every single segment, and then you start cold emailing. KPIs are obviously pretty similar to what you've seen in LinkedIn. And so, for example, SaaS Growth Hacks is such a group. Like everybody who's in SaaS knows this community. It's one of the biggest. And you can see, like even now, I think it's even bigger number of members since I don't recall when I took the screenshot. But in any case, 24,000 people. SaaS, everybody needs a cold email tool. So it's a perfect place for me to come in and use this cool search option within the group that will search content within the group. And I might find something like this. And it's not, I would say like it's a interesting match because this person has been developed. I can assume that he kind of started developing his tool. He's looking to boost reviews for his WordPress plugin, and it can be an interesting audience. And let's imagine for a second that I see 20 people that are similar to this. They're in the same space, they're looking for reviews, and I can now segment my audience and create a proper pitch. And it can be something like this. Like you can attack, since this is kind of like a pain solution kind of framework of an email, you can attack the pain from the start. If the timing is perfect, of course. You don't want to use a post that's too old. You want to be on top of things. This is why you want to be pretty active on the community. And this will happen, boost your open rate in this particular case. And then, sorry about that. And then you want to build a connection quickly. So you want to build that reference where you're coming from. It's not something, super personal, but it works greatly because even if you haven't exchanged comments in the community, you can still use it to your advantage and navigate the conversation and get straight to the point. And in my case, I like to always lead by example. I used to do this for Lemlist as well, getting reviews for Lemlist. So I could tell my own story. I could show him the solution, and I can position Lemlist as a part of the solution. And so make it really connected to my final outcome, which is converting this person that come to the free trial, test the tool, like it, and then become a paid and customer for a long time, hopefully. And you can do this by doing so. Like even if they decline, you still kind of you gave them good stuff which they can use, even if they don't use my tool. But I've positioned Lemlist as something that's out there. They can share that advice or share that email with people. So it also gives you that additional kick that I like to see by being authentic. It's showing that you're a practitioner, kind of building that credibility. And in this video, I love this strategy, and I can't tell you how much I've shared it with our users. What happens is I still have like personalized text, first name changes, it's clickable, and it's video, it's kind of sexy and everything. Maybe not with me so much, but in any case, people will click on it and they will be redirected to a dynamic landing page, such as this example. This is just a different example, but it will be my video. There will be some cool text on the right with their first name, with the content individualized for that person. So it will be customized for them. Instead of the Lemlist logo, it can be a company logo. And in the video, I can deliver the value, and I can choose how long the video will be, but Loom recording or whatever you want to use, it's super simple to create these videos. You don't have to be an expert. They don't have to be perfect. You're talking about solutions. You're not, advertising in front of millions of people. So don't spend time, perfecting the video. Focus on just delivering a solution and showing them how the promised land looks of getting a lot of reviews for their plugins. And I can add a calendar to kind of decrease that friction and book meetings fast. So if they're interested and they want to talk and booking meetings is part of the funnel, I can just add it and be like that. And imagine this with a lot of communities and a lot of different problems, a lot of different segments. It's like a magical pool of leads, and you know the pains already. And these are some of the results on one such campaign. And I think, it really works and it gives you a lot. So, but again, the whole point is think about the funnel, think about the research, and then connect the research to the pitches and everything. And as a final tactic, I guess this is something for my fellow marketeers who are not that, into sales, but are more into things like networking and focusing on top of the funnel more. And we call this tiramisu strategy for a reason. Like I liked tiramisu a lot before I became diabetic, and tiramisu is kind of like cold but sweet. And the whole point with this is the intro lines. Making your intro lines realistic. And this was the campaign that we used to bring people to our webinars, kind of like real, sales and marketing experts. Some of the names: Aaron Ross, Rand Fishkin, Tim Solo, John Burrows, and so forth and so on. And the thing with this one is we had two unique sentences. So there weren't any images as in the previous examples, but this one was text only. And every email had a unique intro line. From the first word to the last word, it was unique. And every email had a unique topic suggestion because we really wanted to connect with these people, create a great webinar, but also establish a relationship with them because we might want to do some fun things later down the road, and we want to develop that relationship. And if you put it into context of how did that email look like, this is the template. And the first tag becomes an intro line, and that intro line was a genuine compliment again, but it can be anything. If you want to get featured on other people's podcasts, you can compliment their episode. Like a decent compliment or a common ground. Like if we both like wine instead of beer, you can leverage that as long as you see the person has a common ground with you. And the second one was replaced, like I said, with a clear topic suggestion of what we want to talk about and why are we inviting that person. But again, every relationship is a win-win, and we are inviting them. So we didn't want to lose the leverage of we're asking. We're also bringing something, and that's exposure to our community, our newsletter at the time, LinkedIn posts that achieve like a lot of attention, and also give them a preview who our audience is and why it's going to be beneficial to them. And also for credibility and some credibility and reference purposes, we added some links so they can see that we're practitioners. We were a little bit smaller when we started than we are now, so this becomes beneficial, so they can see that they're talking to somebody who's putting in the work and it's credible. And I've sent this into two batches. So the first two seasons for webinars that we did, these were the results. And like I said, cool people came in. Like these are some of the guests that were in our first two seasons. But tiramisu strategy is wonderful because it's not too difficult to do. It just has to be honest. That's your number one thing that you want to accomplish, and it has to be unique. And everyone, like all 6 people you see on the image, had a unique email, so nobody saw the same email. And this was the whole difference. I guess I'm gonna stop here and stop sharing my screen because I'm gonna move it back to my friend Levi.
Thank you. That was really, man, it was really informative. Great to hear all of those specific ways that we can generate more value. I know me personally, I'm going to use them for sure. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
It's great. I need to jump ahead here really quick. Let me get out of here. Get over to the tactics. All right, there we go. Okay, so my screen's sharing, correct?
Yes.
All right, great. So now we're going to jump into that post-click side of those cold emails, the LinkedIn funnel, what we're going to do after the person has shown interest and maybe clicked on that link that you've added to the email or the link that you've shared through the DMs. And what I'm going to do is first explain how to create conversational post-click experiences. And then I'm going to go into a lot more depth about how those can be personalized and how they convert. So jumping into conversational experiences to start. So one of the things that's really key about conversational experiences, and this isn't just chatbots, there's other ways to be conversational. It's not just this. Actually, when we're DMing with somebody on LinkedIn, guess what? That's conversational. We're having a conversation. It's engaging. People enjoy it. As long as they see value in that discussion, they're going to be engaged. And that's what we're trying to do, but at scale, right? So chatbots create a conversation at scale because it's automated, and there's ways to create dynamic experiences through it. So they're going to do a couple things for you. They can definitely convert and segment the prospects for you using their own input, right? So as people interact with the chatbot, they're actually qualifying themselves and segmenting themselves, which is a lot of value and time, but also uh, what happens there is they're going to be much more accurate when they segment themselves, right? So you're guessing sometimes, or doing your best guess to segment them, but when they're interacting with a chatbot, they can actually let you know exactly what they're interested in and what matters to them. So that's getting us a much more hyper focused list of folks that are qualified. And then, of course, this is literally the most ubiquitous digital interface in the world. So text messaging, 6 billion active users every month on all the messaging apps combined. People just really connect and understand text messaging. They understand the DMs. They understand that, and it really resonates with folks. Additionally, with chatbots, they can be deployed on any device, right? So we can reach anybody no matter where they're at, and that's key. If somebody lands, if you're hitting somebody up and they're on their personal computer at home, that experience can be drastically different than their mobile device if they're off in town doing something or moving to that next meeting. I know that's restricted a lot currently, but still people are using their mobile. I mean, I'm sometimes around my own house, right? I have my mobile phone and I'm doing things on that. If I'm directed to something that has a bad mobile experience, all that work you put in is now gone. So we're trying to look at ways to be engaging the user, but in a way that can be flexible to wherever they are, whatever they're doing at that time. So let's take a quick dive into what a conversational experience looks like. So this is a chatbot. I actually built this for this webinar to show how you can leverage a chatbot in this case to get those folks that you want to collaborate on marketing webinars or things of that nature, how you can get them to have a post-click experience that's conversational. So first and foremost, orient the leads to what's going to happen. So this is, very straightforward. It's almost like you're having a text conversation with somebody or that email, except it's more dynamic. So we can be very straightforward about what they're going to expect to do in this interaction and keep it very relevant, right? So with what Vuk was showing with the relevant topic to that guest, we can echo that. We can keep that part of the experience so they understand exactly what they're here for and what they want to do. Next, we ask the prospect an easy question. The point of this is kind of twofold. One, it's to give them some agency to what they're doing. So a chatbot isn't just like, a landing page or something of that nature. You're doing one thing, you're clicking one thing, filling out some details, and it's over. With a chatbot, you have the ability to move people based on their interactions, branch them to different outcomes, branch them to different messaging, branch them to different automations. And the point is, at that very opener, right, to give them a really easy question that they can give a really easy answer to. Because the key with chatbots is the interaction, the engagement that they drive throughout the experience. One interaction leads to 10 interactions. One interaction leads to the conversion, right? Engagement is action, which is conversion. So that is how we approach them. Now, you can also use chatbots to save time, reduce friction by automating those FAQs. This is a guided version of that where you have your top 5 questions that people ask. And Arnav can agree with me. He's not going to jump on audio, but we get these questions all the time. And we usually cover them in a face-to-face Zoom meeting. But this is not always the case. We don't need to answer these questions. We can actually give them to the user to find the answer for themselves. It's kind of like FAQs, but a little more interactive and a little easier to navigate. And it also gives that prospect the option to ask us a question so that we can respond directly to them. Again, it's all about engagement. So that's what we're trying to accomplish when we do this. Yeah, and we, like Arnav said, we really do get these questions every single time we have a qualification call. So 1 second here. Now, this is kind of a cool feature. This can be used, leveraged many different ways, but we could use the prospect to identify other key stakeholders in their company or in the community, right? So with this demo, say, hey, is there anyone else from your team that you want to join the webinar with you? When that happens and they say, yes, this is who I want to co-host with, now you have created a new person to segment off and build that organizational hierarchy. So you're bringing in more people and leveraging that. So that's just an example of ways that you can essentially penetrate a company more and get more engagement and reach within it. So additionally, this is just again, through this demo, you can automate bookings. And so we've done actually multiple things, and there's only been 3 steps in this chatbot, and we've already accomplished multiple things. We're understanding how many users, or we're bringing in new users potentially. We're verifying topics. We're doing all these things that we have to do normally in a call, but all through automation. So what this particular feature does is it actually connects to a Google Calendar, pulls up available slots. The user can then pick when they want to do the webinar based on their particular needs. And if a webinar is scheduled on that time, it would show up as not available. And again, this is a different input, right? So we have many different inputs that you can leverage, like calendars, cards, buttons, custom text input, things of that nature, to create a more, a larger experience, a better experience through multiple inputs. So at the end of that is really automating everything. So what's happening in this chatbot isn't just the automation of the conversation, but it's the automation of all your marketing tools, triggered when it's relevant to the user. For example, the calendar there was triggered in real time through the conversation, and it will also book in real time when they're ready to move forward. So that's just one example. There's CRMs, which you can either push information to or pull it in, which we'll explain in this next tactic. Emails, your favorite automation tools like Zapier are all available, and they're available in real time. What this looks like in comparison to most solutions is, for example, like landing pages, most of the automation happens at the end of the interaction. Most doesn't happen in real time as the person's interacting. It's more of a static experience. So what does that look like when we jump in a little more detail? So personalize and convert is what we're really trying to accomplish with conversational experiences. Text message already is, like, having a conversation, automated or not, is personal no matter what. It just feels more personal. It's more direct. It's engaging, it's dynamic. You don't know what the person's going to say or ask or how they're going to respond. So there's a lot more interaction behind that whole thing. The key, though, here is that we can connect to information in real time. So what Vuk was talking about in the beginning of segmenting these lists, understanding the tiramisu and tiramisu 1 and tiramisu 2, and structuring all of that, that can actually be, those types of structured information can be pulled into the chatbot in real time and dynamically displayed in front of users. So now we're creating that experience, but in a more engaging and interaction-driven experience. So when we have a list of people with topics and a bunch of other information behind them, including their phone numbers, their emails, all the things that we don't want to ask them for again, right? If you're booking a meeting with me and and then you go to that meeting tool and you have to enter your name and enter your email again, that's not a great experience. We put up with it if we see that value, but less, so you will have drop off there. So by pulling in the information early on, you can seamlessly interact with all of that stuff. You don't have to ask for their email. You don't have to ask them for their name or any of that stuff, because it's already in the work that you did qualifying and getting your topics and your information structured for those users. And of course, we talked about that, connecting with automation tools like Zapier. You can use their webhooks and trigger events in real time. This is really interesting when you talk about users interacting with a chatbot and then something's happening on the back end while they're interacting with it, sending them an email with information, booking appointments, doing all of these other things, not just one, but multiple steps of the process, all through automation, all in real time. And on the user's end, they're only doing 4 to 5 interactions possibly with the chatbot, and all of this stuff has happened. So they're excited, right? Because that was super easy for them to do. And you're saving a ton of time in the back and forth that you would normally have to do. And then you can gain additional information. I talked about that in the first tactic, of identifying other key stakeholders, segmenting and qualifying the leads through the interaction. All that information can then be automatically updated into your record. So you now can change the status, right? If somebody is like, okay, I'm ready to do this webinar, picks the date that they want to do it. Well, now they went from a prospect to a conversion. We have a webinar. We can change their status automatically and update all that manual stuff that we normally have to do, and save a ton of time. So let's talk about what's actually happening. So when you see these first 3 ellipses bouncing, that a message being written, what is actually happening, if we're going to create a personal experience through conversational design, is the chatbot is reading a URL parameter. This could be many URL parameters, or it could be a single one, like an ID that connects the user from that link to your CRM, all the information that you've established on that prospect, their name, their email, the topics that you've pitched them, the company that they're in. All of those things can be brought into the chatbot right at the beginning and then used throughout the interaction to dynamically populate that information. So we're going from a few things dynamically populated to many things dynamically populated and personalized for the user, but also at scale, right? Which is always important, because if you had to build a chatbot to interact with every single person, it's not worth it. But if you can build one chatbot that interacts with all of your prospects in a personalized way, then you're seeing a lot of return on that value. Yeah, so that's basically what's happening at this very beginning. We can sync into that information and then start using it, like personalizing by name. This is a very common tactic. We all use it. You can also do that in a chatbot, and at that opening sequence, right? Additionally, identifying what they're participating in. So I built this as a demo, but we do a lot of different types of collaboration through marketing. It's not just webinars, it's blogs, right? It's maybe a guest video post, something like that. If we've identified those, what they're participating up front, the chatbot can actually jump to different stages or different places to deliver that information. So this one is for co-hosting a webinar, and we're going to echo that relevant information of the topic, and all of this is dynamically being populated in the chatbot. So if I sent out 10, let's say I sent out 100 of these, each person is going to feel like they're getting a personalized interactive experience through this chatbot, but it's all through automation, all through the lists we already built. Additionally, we talked about this, right? So what does it look like to bring in a new person as an additional co-host? They enter that person's email and their name. Now we have a new person for our list, right? A new entry point into that organization. So we can send a personalized invite to the webinar, leveraging the person that invited them in the first place. So now we have much more credibility, right? And we have much better chances of getting these folks in there. And it's seamless to the user as well. And we can add them. We can push that information to the CRM, add them to that list, and start leveraging that information through the conversation as well. So once this email is entered, it will be used through booking the webinar, booking up a follow meeting, things of that nature. So leveraging integrations, so Google Calendar here, to display times from the calendar in real time, right? So you can see what's available, pick what works for you, book it, and then jump to a different calendar and book a different meeting. So somebody's booked a webinar with us, then we go, okay, now we need to talk about that webinar. We need to discuss the details behind that webinar. So let's book a meeting between, this would be whoever the person is, Arnav and myself. That's how we usually do our process. And it switches the calendar and does it. So this is still very fast. There's only 5 interactions, and they booked the webinar, booked the meeting to discuss the topic and exactly the specifics of it. And it's maybe 2 minutes, 2-minute interaction or less. And this is all being accomplished. And then at the end, what's happening here, just like in the beginning, at the end, you can connect to all your post-conversion processes. So use Zapier to send data to your other tools in your marketing stack, update the status of prospects, any of that stuff. So if that user has been interacting with the chatbot and they've qualified some additional information, we can push that to their list of information and update, add more things, create those automations that save us a lot of time, but also make us more focused, really hyper focused on our prospects and what matters to them and what is relevant to them. So that is it. I ran through that super fast because we're coming up on time and I want to leave enough for questions. So if anybody has any questions, now is the time to start typing away and letting us know. We're happy to answer anything that you have.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to start like a LinkedIn trend, I like to do this, like copy paste your LinkedIn URL in the chat and we can connect with one another on LinkedIn as well.
That's a great idea. Additionally, I'm going to just jump to this too. This is our contact details. So if you want to reach out to us, here's the easiest way to do it. You can call this number. I'm not sure if that's our WhatsApp number. If it is, then you could text it as well on WhatsApp and get an automated experience through that. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Arnav would have to confirm. You can also email Arnav, hit our website, and of course, Lemlist details right there as well. So we're just going to take a moment and pause, see if there's any questions that come in. I'm just assuming everybody's frantically typing right now. Okay, we do have a question here. In the beginning, is TARS integrated with Lemlist to make creating outreach emails easy? We don't have a direct integration. I'm not really sure what necessarily you need to integrate on that, because we're more like, as Vuk had shown, a Calendly link, right? So if you're going to leverage a chatbot, except for Calendly is just booking a meeting, we're looking at it in a much broader scope of doing much more work than that and being introduced through multiple stages of this process. So it's not just booking a meeting, but qualifying leads, segmenting them more, getting them into more and more focused segmentation and lists and updating information. So as far as that goes, I'm not sure that we necessarily would need a direct integration. I don't know. What do you think about that, Vuk?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the funnel. Like there's a simple way to do it. There's no native integration, like Levi said, but I guess it depends on the funnel. Joseph wants to share what's the objective and how he want to use it. I guess we can brainstorm a bit around that.
Definitely. Great. Thank you for that question. Any more questions? Yeah, and on that note, Joseph, on the TAR side, how we approach chatbot development and deployment is our builder is DIY, so anybody can build chatbots. It's super easy. We have over 1,000 templates, and we like to say if you can write an email, you can build a chatbot. But we also have a dedicated customer success team. And what they do is look at what you're trying to accomplish and help you build and deploy those chatbots to hit those goals. So if you're curious on what that looks like, reach out to us. We can help you strategize that approach. So I think this is one for you, Vuk. I'm facing a lot of challenges as I am not getting much of a reply from my email. Can you help me in automating email?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess when it comes to automation and personalization, I think it's understanding uh, what kind of tasks belong to what. Like automating means getting rid of the boring tasks and kind of replicating the successful formula on too much prospects. I guess the simplest of automations you can do was the one with tiramisu, like create a CSV file and add all the information that you want. So for example, an intro line could be a column in your CSV file, and then focus on making that intro file count, make it really unique. And then after that, you just want to pull that information into the email and kind of like do a simple text personalization. But since we I guess it was Santosh who asked this, like since we connected on LinkedIn, I'm going to send you a couple of useful things that will go deeper into the tactics and everything, just to let more questions in.
Great. Joseph also asked if TARS allows a live person to jump into the bot conversation. Yes, we do. We can connect or integrate with live chat. As well, the chatbot does send you reports. So if somebody wants, like I showed in the demo, somebody wants to send you a question, you can actually use that to trigger an email instantly to your inbox, where you'll see the question, be able to respond to them quickly with an answer, or you can jump into live chat. It really depends on what you're looking to accomplish. Both can be, each has their own advantages. Live chat is hard because it doesn't really scale. You can't be available 24/7 versus that email notification when you're not available. At least it's stored there and you can respond when it's prudent. Versus live chat, you're kind of, if you're not available, you're not available. But in TARS, we can actually shift between that. If you're available from certain hours of live chat, we can move to that live chat. If not, we can take their question, send you an email with their question, and you can easily click and respond to them. Can I get a trial of your tools for getting more engagement from clients? So I think that's Lemlist. Question for Lemlist?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can get you can go for a two-week free trial with I guess 90% of features available to you. You can use anything besides the Lamworm and test it, see how it works. And even if you decide to maybe join a paid plan, like I always tell people, 1 month is a good test. Like for like one package, buy it for a month after a free trial. You can see and kind of test different hypotheses. But to answer your question, yep, you can do a free trial.
Similarly, on TARS, we do a 14-day free trial as well. So if you want to see what it's like to build chatbots and deploy them, you can absolutely jump on a free trial. It looks like Vineet, who is our CTO from TARS, raised his hand and he wants to talk. So I'm going to allow him to talk. I'm going to let him jump on here, and hopefully this works. I don't know when he raised his hand, so. Are you there, Vineet? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna mute him. I guess he's not ready to talk anymore. Okay, is there any other questions? So we're running up. We got about 5 more minutes. Happy to answer any more questions. This recording will be available shortly. I'm not sure. It just depends on how long it takes to process it and all of that. But we'll have it sent to everybody that signed up. You'll get the recording through email.
What we used to do, since we can, I think before the next question comes, we developed kind of like a chat tool, called it for support, and we used it for landing pages. On our dynamic landing page, whenever somebody finishes watching a video, he used something that we called Lamb Talk, which is like a tool from our arsenal. And whenever the video finishes, and the video will finish something like, hey, if you like these tactics, let me know what you think. And then it kind of opens up an automated message that pulls it directly into Slack, and you kind of could communicate with people. So in terms of like the bot strategy, I think opportunities are endless, to choose a point, like how to connect it and how to do it.
Yeah, ultimately it's about engagement. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to engage, and conversation works really well. Those emails are just to start the conversation. The videos are to continue that conversation, but it's still one-sided. The goal is to get that user, that prospect, to start returning the conversation, right? Once they start conversating back with us, that's where things start moving forward. That's where we go to conversion, where we find those outcomes.
Yep, milestone 1, milestone 2, conversion. I totally agree.
We are in AI, ML, RPA. Do you have some projects wherein we can be of help? I'm guessing is that towards TARS? I guess I don't know. It could apply to anybody. It could apply to both, I guess. I'm not sure. Reach out to us, and we'll connect you with the right person. Maybe if it's TARS, Vineet is our CTO. He could have a chat with you. Just reach out. Just reach out to whoever you want to be strategic partners with, and we can have a conversation. Okay. Well, it looks like any more questions? Last chance, and then we're gonna go ahead and shut this webinar down. We're at the top of the hour, just about. It's been a great webinar. So much useful information there, and I'm just thrilled about the LinkedIn funnel thing too, because I've personally tried to use LinkedIn for that and had very mixed results. So I'm gonna approach that, and I actually Arnav too is gonna definitely take a lot away from this. Okay.
Yeah, let me know how it trips.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will definitely be in touch about that. All right. Yeah, it looks like no more questions. So thank you all for joining us today. And special thank you to Vuk for jumping on this webinar and sharing all of those insights. They were super helpful, very valuable. Appreciate it. So thank you all again for joining us. Look for our next webinar. We have them all the time, every week pretty much, or multiple times a week. We are a webinar producing machine. Join us next time, and we will continue the conversation about chatbots and automation and finding more value in the tools that you're using. So again, thank you all.
Thanks everyone for the invitation.
Absolutely.